Hi there, I'm Evan.
And I'm Mark.
What do we do today, Mark?
On this week's episode, I asked Evan some really interesting questions, I think, that are based all on clarity. And
we help Mark get clarity.
He goes, "What? You already knew these." So you have to listen to what those interesting questions are.
Hey, here we go. Welcome to Something to Pod. Go.
We just spent 5 minutes talking, and it was the best thing, and Evan wasn't even recording.
Not a default auto recorder, but anyway, whatever. We're here.
Okay. Here's what I want to talk to you about today, Evan. It's actually changed since this morning.
I prayed today on Instagram. That was fun.
Did you? Were you speaking with someone who really needed a prayer, or were you just trying to use prayer as a meditative state to...
No. So I don't know if you know Allie Brooke.
I don't.
She's a pop star. She came from a music group called Fifth Harmony.
And yes. Yeah. I remember them.
Then she left to go do her own solo career, and she was on X Factor and all this stuff. Anyway, she wrote a book.
They have that song, "Give It to Me, I'm Worth It."
We did an interview today for IG Live, and they're telling me the PR agents. I mean, she's got 4.5 million followers or whatever on Instagram. Their PR people are telling me, okay, you can't talk about this and like the drama. It's like, it's like
whatever.
I don't care about gossip or just like that's zero. This is not a gossipy kind of.
And is this for your new show you were doing this interview?
Yeah.
You want to plug the new show? Because I can tell you all about the fancy interviews I've had on the We Do Hard Things podcast, now available. Go ahead and search on Apple Podcasts, We Do Hard Things with Mark Drager. But Evan, you have a new show as well, right?
Anyway, so she talks a lot about prayer, and she was saying a lot about God in the interview. So I said, as she was going through, like she got all kinds of abuse, and not like abuse, but verbal abuse of being like too fat and like can't sing and the worst in the group and all this stuff. So I said, how'd you get through it? She prayed. It's like, okay, how about you pray with us right now? Can you lead us in a prayer? Like go back to Allie from 8 years ago or whatever, and just there's so many women who are going through that right now that they're going to rewind this part of the video and have it on hand. So it's like, Allie's praying, can you lead us in a prayer? She's like, oh my God, no, nobody's ever asked me to do that before. It's like, okay. And then she took us on a 3-minute prayer or something, and then started crying at the end. It was really good. It was I mean, I know you don't pray anymore. You're not religious at all anymore. It's fine. But listen, some people still pray in the world, and it was fun with Allie.
Evan likes to that's like the Mark running around naked with his chickens. You grab this tiny little thing and just make a declarative statement like that. Eh?
When was the last time you prayed?
Last night at dinner with my kids.
Yeah, but when was the last time you really prayed?
Probably I think on the weekend actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying it. Okay, keep going, Mark. Let's go.
That's fine. We don't have to talk about prayer or religion. I mean, we can dig into that if you want, but
no, you got a topic already. What are we doing?
I do. So it's actually shifted from what I texted you this morning. So here's we may end up there anyway. Okay, here's the thing, Evan. So I'm leaving. I've come to realize that I'm interviewing all of these people for this other podcast, the We Do Hard Things podcast. You may have heard of it. I'm interviewing all these people, and most of the advice I get most of the things I hear on goal setting and advice, and you hear it from Mel Robbins, and you hear from all these people, and it's really good sound advice. It's like, even the book by, I don't remember his name, It Takes What It Takes.
Okay,
you don't want it bad enough. That's usually the thing. If you have a goal and you're not going towards your goal, you don't want it bad enough. If you're not motivated, then you don't want to do what you're doing bad enough. And it's just like this constant like feeling that if you're not hitting goals, it's just not a big enough goal, and that should tell you something, like change, tweak, or whatever. The thing I've been running into, and I've realized has held me back for a very long time, is I don't know if I want anything bad enough for long enough to actually see things through or reap the rewards of this. And the more I thought of it, the more I thought of people reading your book, Built to Serve, or the people who feel stuck, or the people who spin the wheels, or the people who try and fail and try and fail and try and fail and never get anywhere. I don't think it's that we don't want something. It's that there's this, at least for me, I can speak. I don't know if I ever want anything bad enough for long enough to see things through. So the mini, You know, I have a 74 Awesome Mini that I've had for 20 years that I haven't finished. This thing on my wrist where I could set a goal to get healthy and lose weight. And sometimes I do, but maybe a week or two, my priorities change. So I don't know if it's my makeup, if it's my nature, or if this is universal, but I think other people use competition or other things and they set a goal and then they work towards their goal and then they set the next goal. I think my problem is I don't ever want anything bad enough for long enough that I can't see things through.
Okay.
So what do you think of that?
Oh.
Okay.
Well, what was the context that you got from your other show that's not as good as this one?
It's different. It's different. I would say, so the reason why this popped actually in my head this morning, because I've been thinking about it for a while, is I was talking to my coach at the gym, and he's just cut. He's just gone through a cut. He's lost like 20 pounds in 7 weeks. He's on a bodybuilding thing, but I was like, wow, how are you doing that calorie deficit? Oh my goodness, aren't you starving? And he's just like, yeah, I am, but I just want this goal so badly. And I'm like, okay. I want lots of things really badly, but for very short periods of time. And so you asked about the podcast. I spoke with Josh York. Yes, wow. I spoke with Josh York from Gym Guys. And I came out of that conversation like really impressed at his intensity and his drive and his focus. And it was clear, like you either want it and do it, or you don't want it and don't do it. But I struggle with the sustained wanting to do it.
Okay. I think that's normal. Is that what you're asking me? Like, what's my take?
What I'm asking you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's your take? What's your answer? You only want to, you're the donkey, right? You show up, you're the husky. You show up and I say
tell me the direction. That's where we go.
Here's the direction.
Yeah. I think that's normal. I think that's normal. I think what you're saying, everybody can connect to.
I think everyone can connect to it, but so what's the answer? Or do we? I think there are people who don't worry about it and don't think about it and don't care. And then I think there are people who are able to get past that and focus and stay with something. But then there's this middle group like me, where we can see in a lot of areas of our life that this is like cycling. I want it. This is the answer. I try it. It's not the answer. This is the answer. I want it. I try it. And then this, and then this, and then this. And it's just that constant searching for the answer.
It's really challenging to force consistent urgency because the inspiration will fade. And there's not enough ongoing urgency. Right? Like that's why deadlines work so well. That's why challenges work so well. That's why having a peer group works so well, that you're constantly reminded by it. It's always around you. So you want to go off and get better at the thing. But I think it's an unfair expectation to say what I was feeling, like overall, we're moving forward. But what I was feeling, that intense high to make the thing, nobody has that every day. Josh York, whoever, like nobody has it every day. So it's living in it while you've got it. Like when you're feeling that vibe, then doing something about it and actually building momentum, taking action and not getting stuck in planning. And then forcing the environmental pieces,
for sure. That's on the micro. We get this question a lot about like, how do I have sustained motivation, or how do I find my motivation when I lost it or whatever? And you always separate the macro from the micro. Mm-hmm. I guess where I'm going with this is the realization that my macro changes before I can hit any level of like, before I can hit any version of done, my macro has changed.
No, the macro is still extraordinary. It's all the little micro things of what makes that up. Like I want to make an extraordinary website or extraordinary company or extraordinary whatever. Like all those pieces are the things that you struggle to stay consistent on. This is a micro conversation.
This is a micro conversation.
The goals are micro, like the actual goals against.
But I feel like it's a macro conversation, because whatever expression of extraordinary I want to attack at a given time, yeah, day to day you can change, but I think that most people who are doing something have a vision that lasts longer than 2 or 3 months.
Most people, no. Most
No?
people don't even have a vision. Period.
Okay.
Achievers, sure, but it's very common that you're going to get bored of the thing. So you need to inject newness into it, or you're going to tap out and want to do something else. So it's that constant injection. It's following the moments when you're feeling bold, inspired, amazing, like it's doing something about it, and then constantly tweaking the schedule, the routine, the environment, what you're feeding into your brain to remind yourself of the thing that you said you wanted to do.
But what about that? Hey, remind yourself of the thing you said you wanted to do. What if that thing is changing often?
Sure, then you cancel it. But it's still all in service of creating an extraordinary life. Like it should change. What an extraordinary life looks like right now is going to be slightly different than tomorrow, than the next day. And yes, then 3 months, and then 1 year and 2 years and so on. Like
So should the goal though be to, okay, so my one word's extraordinary. I want to build an extraordinary life. Should my goal be to build and structure everything around me living or trying to live? I don't know how to articulate what I'm feeling or trying to ask. Should my goal be to structure the entire thing around living the most extraordinary life as many days as possible, or the pursuit of an extraordinary life at the end?
No, it's not life at the end, but it's gonna. You'll have moments. You'll have days where you feel
moments.
Whatever days, moments. Let's leave with moments. You'll have moments where you feel deeply connected to extraordinary and what that means, and what you have to go off and do, and what you need to go off and build, and that will show up in different contexts. That could be a family or business or the podcast or something. There's moments, whether that is just you waking up and feeling inspired to go do something, or you just have a great conversation and that lights your engine, or you watch a video or a podcast or something. That's the thing that gets you going, right? But you're fired up and you have a new standard for what extraordinary should be. That's not every day. So when you get those, it's chasing those things down as much as possible, and then creating some kind of system, schedule, routine while you're still feeling it to help you stay consistent on it. Because when the motivation drops, what are you going to do? Now, if it ends up, maybe you don't care about it anymore, then great, then you move on to the next thing. But you've tried to create that schedule for yourself. So like the Wim Hof thing, right? Wim Hof, I went to go do Wim Hof. That was a crazy day. There's a video of me doing it. It's like, I feel alive. This is amazing. Like somebody interviewed me, my camera guy. Right? What?
Nina came with you, didn't she?
Nina came with me. I'm feeling it. It's like, this is amazing. And so, but then it's easy to fall back into your life. It's easy to fall back into what you're normally doing. So I need to put it in my calendar app, right? I made a picture of Wim Hof in my bathroom coming out of the ice, and some quote about comfort. I subscribe to his channel on YouTube. I subscribe to Scott Carney's channel, who's the Wim Hof disciple, because Wim doesn't produce that much content, to try to have it in my ecosystem, because tomorrow I'm going to wake up and not remember, but then I'm going to see the video and I'm going to see the picture and I'm going to, right? And still some days it's not as important as other things. Like there'll be things that you will default and are easy to do. For me, YouTube is so easy for me to just default to wake up and like, how are we doing? How is everything? How did that video go yesterday? How's that new thumbnail strategy? I launched 12 new thumbnails myself that I designed yesterday, and it like bothers me that I won't get data for 4 days or something. It's like, where is the? Why?
I don't. I yearn for that drive, or it's like Yeah, I mean, the best way to express it was I was talking to my coach, and he was just like, he's like, Mark, you just don't have a goal that you want enough, right? And it's just like I
But
feel or worry that I don't know if I care about anything enough. Like I would love to wake up
but
and
the
go
goal
and
still doesn't matter. Like the goal, being obsessed about the goal doesn't do anything. Great. Like, so what's coach's goal? To get to 5% body fat? Great. Then what?
no, like I use the example like this thing on my wrist where it's like I put this on my wrist. I went to Tony Robbins. I said, I'm not cutting this off till I'm 182. I got to 182.5 and then started building muscle mass, which didn't help me. It pulled me away. And then COVID happened and this and that. I went on the scale the other day. I'm now, I don't know what I am, 16 pounds heavier than my goal. So I'm resetting my focus, but that like, I don't know, that I have, you have accused me of this. Other people have accused me of this. I've seen this a lot where it's just like, I don't know if I care about things as much as I should. I don't know if I bring as much.
I didn't accuse you of that.
There have been times. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Your direct quote was, your work is mediocre and you're a bastard to everyone or something like that.
Okay. But I didn't say, Mark, you don't, whatever you said before, you don't care enough about the work.
No, but there've been lots of times where you're like, you can't understand why I don't do things or don't take certain steps, don't look into things. Like you've leaned on me. Like I can pull out tons of examples, but you've leaned on me lots of times where you're like, how is this not important to you? How is it not important to you to do it? And I'm just like,
That's not important to you.
And what I've kind of come to realize as I'm going through all this reflection and introspection and other things is that it's not that things aren't important to me. They're deeply important to me, but for such short windows of time. And there are so many things that I move through and from that I don't stay in one place long enough to make it real, to make it the effort to make an impact, to stack thing upon thing upon thing.
Okay, but hold on. Do you come back to the same thing, or is it always something new?
I come back when it's urgent enough.
No. But that's fake urgency put on by somebody else. Like,
yes.
Do you come back to the thing and actually care? The thing that you used to care about, do you come back and later care about it a day later, a week later, a month later? Or is it, no, you've just moved on to something totally different?
More often than not, I've moved on to something totally different.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe that's natural on certain degrees, but
listen, I wouldn't judge myself against.
Why do you ask that?
Well, because
it's
then
better
if
I were to come circle back around and
it's not better or worse. It's creating the best mindset, life schedule that works for you. It's not like better or worse implies judgment. There's no judgment as to what the best thing is. It's more what's the best thing for Mark Drager given how he is. That's all. You're judging yourself against Coach, who's trying to get down to 5% body fat, and he's upset at you for not having a goal.
No, he wasn't upset. He was super forgiving, super nice, or whatnot. He
whatever. He's
comprehend what I was saying when I was like,
yeah, but like you judging yourself against Coach for not having a goal. Like he has a goal, but he has no purpose. His purpose, his self-identity is locked up into getting this goal. That's a problem. Let's have a bring Coach in. Let's have a discussion around purpose. He's going to get tongue-tied and have no idea what he wants to say because he's lost as a human. And the only way he gets sanity and any sense of self-worth and structure is to tie himself to, I need to hit this 5% goal. Or whatever the goal is. Is it 5%?
He's getting himself show ready to be a bodybuilder.
Why? What's the purpose?
Oh, he has his own.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Okay.
Doesn't know.
Okay.
It's like this is the stubborn on the why and the flexible on the how. Right? The why. That's what matters the most. And then being able to switch a million times if needed is okay. The goal doesn't matter. This is why like 5-year goals and 10-year goals are stupid. So, okay, great. So you hit your goal. Awesome. Then you're depressed. What's the why? Or you should have jumped off that goal 3 years ago. I think it's great to jump off goals if you're not feeling connected to it anymore. You have to feel connected to the why. So what does an extraordinary life and business look like for Mark? And if you're shifting in and out faster than most people, great. Then you have to shift in and out. Otherwise, you won't be happy, instead of judging yourself for wanting to shift in and out. Like, why still do this podcast? This is 2.5 years. 2.5 years? 2 years? How long are we doing this for? A year and a half? I don't know what we're doing.
I don't know. In February or March, it'll be either 2 or 3 years. I think 2 years.
Great. So why? That's 2 years of every week, almost. I mean, even when we couldn't do one, we, for the most part, rescheduled. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many weeks we've missed, but 2 in 2 years? I don't know how many we've missed, but it hasn't been that much. So why? Why keep doing a podcast? Obligation?
We're friends. When I've thought about bringing it to an end, which maybe 2 or 3 times I have, people in my life are like, no, it's really good content and it's really great. And, you know, you're helping people or this or that. And it's something we do together. So camaraderie, friendship, obligation.
Okay. Well, I mean, obligation is not a good enough reason, but the other 2 might be. But you haven't given up on the podcast.
Okay, I'm going to just wave my hands here. So that way, if we need to cut out whatever is going to come next, we can. So what I wanted to talk to you about, so yesterday I had like a really strong moment of clarity.
Great.
And
follow that.
I woke up this morning with with equally strong moment of clarity in the opposite direction. And
okay, what were the 2?
So yesterday I got off of, I had a really good day. I'm really trying to focus on the moment and focus on my energy and how I'm feeling and all of this stuff and trying to
and what was the moment of clarity? What was it?
There was this moment where I had to do some work.
What's the one-liner?
I wrote it down.
Okay, great.
It was, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know what it looks like, but I know that I don't want to do this anymore.
Do what?
Fanta.
Okay.
Marketing. But this morning I woke up totally. Yesterday I had this moment of clarity where the last 3 years of changing and slowly devolving and slowly pulling everything apart is just me being afraid of saying that I don't want to do this anymore because I don't know what I would do next.
Okay.
But I don't want to.
What was your moment of clarity today?
I connected with Louis and we had a great conversation and he has so much heart. And I'm like, man, I love working with Louis. And Alex and I, we're launching 4 different campaigns today for 3 different clients. So a really big day. Yesterday, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore because I'm beholden to people and their timelines and I'm working for them. And I don't like that. I want to build my own thing. I want to do my own thing. I want to do my thing on my times for me. I don't want to do things for other people anymore. And then today it's like working with Louis. It's like, man, working with Louis is so good. Working with Alex, I'm just like, man, like there's just a synergy that's really great. And so then I go, well, maybe with the right people and under the right circumstances and all this stuff.
But those aren't competing moments of clarity.
Well, one is because one tells me last night I couldn't help but think, okay, what can I do to replace my income doing what I love? If I could, build my life without a cell phone, if I, I like doing the We Do Hard Things podcast. I like doing this with you. I had a great morning, I ended up mentoring 2 different people. I had a sales call, which should be something that's amazing. But by the end of the call, I was just like, I don't know if I have any interest in working with these people.
But those are not your moment of clarity wasn't, I would need to shut down this company. The moment of clarity was all the reasons why you would potentially shut down the company. And those still exist. So the moment of clarity this morning doesn't negate anything from before. It's not the opposite direction.
Right, but I basically found myself yesterday evening where I was in 2017 when I got really depressed. I wasn't depressed yesterday. I wasn't depressed. It was just this realization that I've been fighting and ignoring what I believe is a truth, which is this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it shouldn't be this hard. Like, nobody goes out and like we talked about this, the journey, last time, but nobody goes to work all day, every day, doing things that they don't want to do, even if they're good at it.
Lots of people do that, and lots of people hate their lives for doing that. That's most of nobody. That's actually most people. Nobody does that.
So I'm back to like thinking about like maybe I should start a lawn company and cut grass and
because
the winter's off and
you take
and snow blow and
oh my gosh, you take them both moments of clarity and you combine them. You're just you're jumping to the wrong conclusion. Both moments of clarity still are true, are relevant, and exist. Today's moment of clarity is you love working with Alex and you love working with Louis because they're great people and have great synergies. Awesome. It doesn't negate everything from yesterday about how you hate being beholden to clients and not being in control of your schedule and whatever the 3 things that came out of yesterday were. Those both still exist. You haven't found your solution is keep going exactly as it is or throw the whole thing away.
Yeah. And black and white solution.
But neither of them, you'll never be happy because you're not actually solving the problem. You're always going to be ignoring one side of the truth. You throw it all away, you don't get to work with Louis and Alex and have camaraderie and people who support you. You keep going, then now you got all the crap that you got to deal with and running the business. It's the mix. It has to be the mix. How do you continue working with these people, whether the business model needs to change or the clients need to change or whatever, but how do you keep working with the people that you want to work with and not deal with all of this stuff,
which is
that
what
you
brought
hate?
Me to the question. Maybe it was which brought me to like, I don't know if I stay on anything long enough to see things through enough to build that new version of whatever it is, because the new thing's always changing. And I worry it's not fair to Louis, it's not fair to Alex or anyone else on the team to come along for this ride with me when I don't have it figured out, or it's always changing on them, or they're never sure. I worry that I'm only doing what I'm doing because people tell me I'm good at it, but I'm not as good as I should be. And I don't know if I shouldn't just be doing something else, but I'm too worried about money or whatever to take that plunge.
Well, maybe
those are all the things that I'm worried about.
Sure, great. So let me grab up my keyboard and we'll type up.
Take notes.
Yes, your two moments of clarity. Your two really is like 5 or 6 moments of clarity.
I have a lot of moments of clarity.
Great.
They just all compete against each other, and I don't know.
No, that's the problem. One, you think they compete where they don't. They're actually highly synergistic, and that's what we need to find. And that's all that actually matters. Forget 2. Okay, so what are your moments of clarity, Mark? By the way, the only thing you're missing is clarity.
Yes.
Perfect. So you have all these moments of clarity. Let's not listen to them and like swing.
The word moment of clarity, it's when something is so clear to me without being emotional. It feels like I'm not. Yes. Okay. Not
great.
Okay. Awesome. So yesterday it was that.
I'm typing.
I don't want to. I want to build my thing for me.
Okay.
So my timelines, I don't want to be beholden to other people's objective opinions or, we don't have any.
Okay. An opinion isn't objective, subjective.
Sorry, subjective opinions. Yes. Subjective opinions or, we don't have any current clients who do this, but we used to have this all the time. Like,
so you've already fixed it. Perfect.
No.
Next.
We just haven't had these clients, but go back 8 months.
Okay. So you fixed it. Great. Okay.
We haven't fixed it. We're not working with a few of those people.
AKA you fixed it. That's how you fixed it. You stop working with these kinds of people. Perfect. Next.
Okay. Great.
We have more clarity. And
that's it. Like part
Okay.
of what I should have done.
Okay, what does
yesterday.
build my own thing for me mean?
When you're in marketing, I believe more so than, because I've even thought of like, do accountants face this? Do lawyers face this?
What does it mean for you? I don't care what other people think. What does it mean
Right.
for
I
you?
think in marketing more than anyone else, you are building other people's things, and you know, I've done this for a very long time. You're working, like you're working to try and sell them on why this is the right thing to do, and then you're working to keep them to the focus so that way it'll work, and then you're working to make sure it works, and then if it doesn't, you're held responsible even if they made incorrect, they pushed you off the path. And if it does, great, let's start all over again. Like, what's the next thing? That pressure to
Okay, but you whatever business you're in, you have customers.
yes,
So it's that integration. You doing a podcast?
The level of responsibility and expectations may change depending on the type of business you're running.
Okay, give me an example.
If
nobody listens to your podcast, you don't have a business. You got a hobby.
Sure.
You know, we do hard things. You're booking guests, great. If nobody cares, then it just stays a hobby instead of.
I'm not saying that's the answer. If
no,
that was
but
the answer,
give me whatever. You're going to cut lawns, great. You have customers.
Great, you have customers.
Okay, so any business, you have customers. Even if you're building your own thing, you're going to build coffee mugs. You have customers.
Sure. Let's say that you're running. I don't have any interest in this, but let's say you're running an electrician's company or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you come in, you put little booties on your feet, you make sure everything's clean, you're very polite, you smell good, you have proper lighting, you explain to the client what you're doing, you do the work, you clean up after yourself, you leave.
And that's building your thing for you? What are you building? You didn't build anything. You just went in and helped.
You would build the brand, and you would build the brand, and you would build the team, and there's less like, I don't think that electrical panel is in the right, or whatever it is, right? Like
listen, of course, a ton of electricians get judged for their work, for sure. Especially when you're walking in, you don't have repeat customers who, like, you have unless you're going B2B, but a general electrician, you're dealing with how many different customers from paying you small gigs? Lots of them get judged.
I'm just picking where.
Okay, well, pick a good example, because I don't think
there is one. That was a good example.
That's a terrible example. You're going to get judged a lot more, at least in B2B.
But the standards are so low that you.
That's not true. Lots of people will massively judge any serviceman who comes in to fix something, their faucet, their lights, their whatever. They get judged hardcore. It's like, are you sure it should be like that? It's a giant pain. It's like, you don't even know what you're talking about, and you barely get to pick who your customers are. At least with you, if you do a good job, you can pick who your customers are. Just like you said, well, 6 months ago, yeah, but that doesn't matter because those guys are gone. Those are not your clients anymore. So explain to me what building my own thing just for me looks like. That's actually a business because you got customers.
Yes, I spend all my time doing stuff for other people.
Okay, so what is that? What are you going to build for you? What is that?
I don't know. I like the very thing I read for you is, I don't know what this looks like, but I know I don't want to do this anymore. I don't have those answers.
Okay. So
I don't know. I don't know if it's
the other side is like, I want to work on my timelines. I don't want to be beholden to people's subjective opinions. Okay, great. So that's going to be clients, like the wrong clients, saying, hey, Mark, your opinion sucks. Great. So we can fix that. In any business, whether it's marketing or whatever business you want to jump into, this is a client selection problem, not a Fanta problem. And B2B is where you should be, because you'll have less people you get to select who you're working with. So you're working with a handful of clients who you can pick and curate, as opposed to selling to the general public, where you're going to get lots of people who love your stuff and lots of people who hate it and think it's crap.
You keep telling me where I should be and what I should do. And
No, I'm bouncing off of what you're giving me. I didn't say you need to have a marketing agency. I think for this, if you don't want to be beholden to people's subjective opinions, then you have to pick the people that you're going to work with who you work well with and set the rules for them. But you can't set the rules if you're selling to the general public. You set the rules for a very elite group who then, if you want to make money from that elite group, you have to get paid a lot more. If you're selling to 1 million people, you can charge them $2. If you're selling to two people, you got to charge them $1 million, right? Like otherwise you don't have a business. You can't replace your income. So you're working with a select group of people who can handle this and find value. That's what you want to do. What business it is, I don't know. If you're going to do landscaping, then it's a select group of people who will pay you $1 million to do landscaping and won't judge you for how you cut the hedges and just trust you to do a good job.
I don't know what to say in these situations.
No, but like that.
Yes.
Those are your options.
Help me figure it out.
I just did. This is a client selection problem. So that's why I said, give me an example where you're building your own thing for me, because that's a hobby. At some point, you got to sell something to somebody. You got to provide value, and value is in their eyes. What you think is valuable may not actually be valuable. So you got to find people who align with your version of value so that you both agree on what value is. That if you're going to add some Mickey Mouse ears to your Mini and think that's the greatest thing ever, you're going to sell it to somebody who cares about Mickey Mouse Minis. Otherwise, you think you just ruined this car. It's a piece of garbage now because you put Mickey Mouse ears on it. So to find people who match up with you is the problem. It's a client selection problem. So you'll have more success going to a smaller group of people who you align super well with, who don't judge you, who don't hold you to crazy timelines, and who appreciate the magic that you can bring. Now, we haven't gotten to what are you actually selling them, whether it's marketing services or video or lawn mowing or whatever. But this is a client selection problem. Mark needs to work with X number of clients. And your moment of clarity today was, I want to work with people.
So awkward and uncomfortable.
Work with people who have good camaraderie. Even your version of camaraderie is pretty messed up, right? Like you don't want to go to the office. If you think about what do people think is camaraderie? It's like, yeah, we're hanging out together. You don't want any of that stuff. You don't want to go to the office. You hate going to you never want to go to the office again unless you have to. Good people. This comes down to like the people around you have to be that Navy SEAL elite group of people who are good camaraderie, are nice people, can keep up, can take notes, can like all of the criteria that Mark needs for him to be happy and respect the people on his team.
So then this comes back to, is my goal to build a happy life?
It should be for everybody.
Is my goal
Why not?
to build a business?
Both. What are you talking about? A business creates a happy life.
It hasn't for me in 15 years.
Well, hold on. That's not true. What would you be doing otherwise? If you didn't have a business, you're not making the money you're making. You're not living where you're living. You don't have the opportunities that you have right now. Like, go the other way. My business hasn't given me a happy life. What's the alternative?
It hasn't contributed to it. I'm just saying.
Of course it is. You're not designing it to be as good as it could be, but what's the alternative? You're going to go work for somebody else and you think you're going to be happier? There's no way. There's no way. The past 15 years, you're not.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, you know, Jesus Christ. You're looking at, you want to build your thing for me. You want to have your timelines, not be beholden to people's subjective opinions. And you think being an employee is going to give you that life?
No.
There's no way.
I'm not suggesting that.
No, but you just said, I don't know. Maybe I would be happier. There's no way you'd be happier.
No, I'm not saying I don't know.
But like that's exactly what you said.
Going and working with someone is the answer. I'm saying I don't know if it's this business or another business or partners or no partners or I just focus on my own content and building a platform, which brings me back to my worry off the top of, oh crap, I never focus on anything long enough for that thing to be the thing, to be excited about it. And so even yesterday's moment of clarity versus today's moment of clarity conflict against each other. And
No, they don't. I mean, it's like you are not listening to anything that's happening here. I don't know what is going on. They don't. How many times did I say they don't conflict? This is the problem.
Listening to you. I'm giving you my thesis, and you're saying they don't conflict. They actually, the answer is in the middle, and that is what I'm saying. I don't know to.
No,
I'm not saying I don't know to.
It is the only. It is the only answer. You're just drawing the wrong conclusion. You're getting 4 bits of information out of 20 and then concluding that this is the answer. And it's leading you to the wrong path. It doesn't mean you need to quit on the business because you can't set your timelines and be beholden you don't want to be beholden people's subjective opinions. Great. So the answer isn't shut down the company. Those are 2 pieces of the puzzle that you then need to piece together with the other ones to get the full picture. Because not being an entrepreneur is not going to be the thing for you. Like you have to have your own business. You're going to die working for somebody else. You'll just die. So you have to have your own company. Great. At least that's some form of building your own thing for you as well. But you still will have customers. But because of your, eliteness. Like think about what think back to Drager 15 years ago and taking like crappy video projects and all of this stuff just to build it up. Now you're just spoiled brat here who's like complaining that he's got to deal with timelines for customers. I mean, that's business, right? But fine, you've also deserved a little bit of it. You've built up a little bit of credibility and recognition in history and expertise that you can pick. You're lucky you can pick. Other people can't pick. When you get started, you do whatever you can get. And now you're spoiled enough to pick. So great. So pick smartly, pick wisely, pick the right clients that you want to work with so that these things won't go away completely, but they'll be a lot better. And then it's the exact same thing on your team. Like on the client side, like think about what you love about. Was there anything else that from this moment of clarity about Alex and Louis, like the camaraderie and the good people? Was there anything else that came out of this morning?
No.
Camaraderie, good people. Great. I mean, I think for you, I would need to add like
when it clicks, I love it.
No, but
I love it. It's accelerating.
Hold on. I would add to the list, respect their skills. Because if you don't respect their skill level, it's over.
And attention to detail and problem solving.
No, that's all part of it. It's like you don't respect them. You have to respect them for what they do. If you don't respect them for what they do, doesn't matter how nice of a person or how much camaraderie they have, you're just not going to work well with them. So and listen, again, you get to pick. If at the beginning of the business, you have no money and you need help, you don't have a lot of choice, right? Like you're given kind of what you're given. You're hoping somebody helps you out. Now you actually have a business and you can pick who you hire and you can choose. So spoiled brat can actually pick what he wants, which is fine. Great. But this is where it's like, it's hard. It could be hard for somebody starting up to relate to, but as you gain self-awareness and as you can, it's like, why sleep on a cot when you can sleep on a bed
or a king size bed?
Yeah. And why sleep on at some point, like the quality of life change doesn't really make that big a difference. Does Drake's $18 million bed or whatever he's got really make that much of a difference? Or he's got the most expensive bed in the world. Really? I don't think it's 18. Yeah, I think it's like 8 million or something like that. I was reading, somebody sent me an article. Like, does it really make that big a difference between that bed and, right? Like as you continue to gain more resources, more money, the quality that buys you starts to decrease, right? Like at the beginning, just having food is super helpful. So these are some of the challenges that you're facing, but the similarities between them, you lean so heavy in one direction, positive this morning, and so negative the other one direction, but it's actually the same problem. You're just recognizing the strengths of some of the people in your team and the weaknesses of the clients that you're dealing with. It's still around people who deal with Mark have to think a certain way, have to behave a certain way, have to be at a certain skill level, and have to have a certain level of respect. And inside that little tiny narrow bandwidth, you crush it, have tons of fun, It's an amazing experience. You give great results. And the further we go outside that zone, the lower everything else is. The lower the results, the lower the satisfaction, the lower the happiness, the lower the money, all of it. So you have so much clarity over what needs to be inside that zone. And you apply that to all the people in your life, which in the business context is your clients and your team. It's the same thing. And you're looking at it like these are two opposite things. It's the exact same thing that just showed up.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
hopefully I'll remember this for at least 3 or 4 days.
No,
before I come back to you with the exact same thing all over again.
A lot of what we're saying there, go through the history of the show, there's not a lot of conflicting opinions or advice or direction. I don't see this like something totally necessarily brand new. It's just an evolution of where we've been going. This further refining, further clarity over what you want to build. You want to build something. We know you want to build something. We know you don't want to just be this one-man band just kind of sitting in his basement, because you could already do that. Sell your home, go live somewhere, go to Thailand and retire. Like, you're going to go nuts. You don't want to just build. The building stuff is a distraction because you feel like you're making progress. You don't want to build a stupid deck for your pool. You don't. It's a distraction. It's a feeling of satisfaction, but you want to do something bigger. And you want to do something that involves a team. Yet that's combined with the fact that you don't like to work with most people. And so you need your little ninja team around you and ninja customers around you, and then the team to build up to handle all the other stuff. The Navy SEALs versus the Army. Like, you need both. You want to build the Army? Great. You will work at the top with your Navy SEAL. Do they in the same? No, Army have what? Rangers?
Army Rangers, yeah.
Rangers doesn't sound as good as Navy.
SEALs.
So the SEALs versus the Navy, right? You're not happy with just a SEALs team. You don't want to just have a SEALs team. This is part of the problem. You don't want just to have SEALs. You're not happy with just you and Louie and like 4 people. It's not enough. You already know it's not enough. We can come back. We can go back and listen to all the things. How do I know it's not enough? We already know it's not enough. We know it's not enough.
But the moment of clarity yesterday was me finally admitting to myself that maybe I tell people that I want those things, but maybe I don't actually want
them. You're fine. No, you want it. It's fine. You know you want more. You do. You want more. You can fight with yourself.
But then wouldn't I care about the details for longer than I do?
I don't know that you're really a detailed person to begin with. I think there's some things that you look at the details on, like you can get obsessed about something, but you're not actually a super detail-oriented guy. There'll be moments like you'll be look, you could go and do the mini or do the plant the poles and be super obsessed about like the right angle and the right force and the right whatever, and then look at it the next day and like totally forgot what you were even thinking about. Like, it doesn't really matter, but it became an obsession in the moment, and then who cares the next day? I don't think
that's, but hold on. No, but that's what I'm trying. That's a great example of what I'm trying to say. Don't most people care about things for longer? Or that like I'm
first
obsessed
off, who cares? Like, dude, what?
Because I feel like
you don't want to be most people anyway. Why are we comparing ourselves to most people? Coach hates his life.
I need a benchline. I need a benchmark.
No,
I need a baseline.
What? Then great. You're already above it. You know, like the fact that you live in Canada, you're already above it. I mean, what's your benchmark baseline? You don't care enough about the details of most things. You become obsessed with it, and like it's building around it, right? Like obsessing over how the scrum whatever should be, and then not following through on it. Like then don't put that on your team. Focus on things. You need to focus on things that you can control. So timelines, creation, like you can control it, and then you make it, and it happens. And you're not responsible for other people's work on their opinions or how they do their thing, because you're going to get super, you could go into the details on something and obsess over it, but then there's no follow through, because the 2 days later you won't care enough about it anymore. Meanwhile, you've left somebody hanging, like, oh, well, how do I do this? He's like, I don't even want to talk to you anymore.
It does happen
Right?
sometimes.
I know, dude. Nothing is new here.
So on Sunday morning, I worked on your landing page for 2.5 hours. And then I saw the feedback come through from your guy, Tyler.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I mean, sure, those are great suggestions, but like he's asking the impossible. And then I slept on it and I was like, no, they're really good. It's really good feedback. I mean, it's hard as hell. Like what he's asking for is really going to be hard to actually deliver on. But I woke up going like, ooh, but it's good. It's a good point, and I like the challenge. But in that moment when I was like, well, I gave you the time that I had on Sunday. I don't have time to spend 6, 7, 8 hours really working through this stuff to try and answer his questions. Like, so that's a perfect example of like, hey, you asked for some help on Friday. Sunday morning, I jumped on it. I think it was Sunday morning. I jumped on it. I gave you kind of 2.5 hours.
By the way, jumping on it is Friday. Jumping on it is not 2 days later.
Well, I think you texted me at 4 p.m. and I was busy, and then I didn't have my phone on me at all on Saturday because it's messed up. But when I got the feedback, I was like, my initial reaction was, I gave you my 3 hours. I don't have another 6, 7, 8 hours to do all of this work. When am I going to do this work?
Great, but those are the gray lines. That's not a great example, right? Like either way, I wouldn't have cared. If you said, hey, your response was give me Thursday or Friday, like, okay, like, look, every day it's not up, hurts me, but okay. But you could have also just said, I can't do it. It's like, okay, I'll do it. Or we'll find another way to do it. Right?
Well, the page can be launched in its current state, and then it can be updated in real time. So that's why I asked you whether you wanted to look at the feedback or not. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna put time into it tomorrow for sure. But I thought that it illustrated your point well because
because of the relationship.
Really great job for you, and then I did it, and then
these are the clients that if that's a regular client, you have to decide if that's like at the end of the day, you appreciated the feedback and want to take on a challenge. If you didn't appreciate the feedback, if you said, no, Tyler doesn't know what he's talking about. This is stupid.
I didn't appreciate the feedback at first. It took me a day. It took me from shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
Okay, great. But
appreciate the feedback.
Awesome. The net result is you thought it was good feedback. He's asking for something that is hard to do, and you're up for the challenge. Not that this is back to your beholden to people's subjective opinions. If you didn't agree, you said, no, Tyler, your feedback sucks. I've been doing this. I think it's killer.
No. I agree with his feedback. You're missing the actual.
I'm not missing it. I'm telling
challenge.
you.
No, I agree with his feedback.
The challenge is doing the thing that's impossible. That's fine, but it's not a good example because this doesn't hit your mark of being beholden to people's subjective opinions. You agree with his opinions. You agree with what he said. You're challenged in how to actually execute it, but you agree with what he says, and you want to do the challenge mostly probably for me, maybe a little bit for you, just to see what you can do or possible.
No, just for you.
Great. So like that's why it's a different
obligation, not.
That's why it's a different relationship. Is that like this is a gray line? If that's happening for other clients, then you don't want to do it. Then you don't keep those clients. You don't take those clients on. Or they're part of the Navy that you give to your team.
His feedback was spot on. It was good. It is hard. I'm not sure we can actually live up to what he's asking for because it's easy to point out and say, this should be this way. Now go off and invent something. But then I take it and I go, why? But this can be applied across all the work that we do. And maybe we're not pushing enough on everything because maybe we don't give enough time or enough focus or enough care. And maybe we don't have the right people and maybe we don't have the right structure. And that's when I go, I could fix this. I can build this. I can do this. I don't know if I want to. That was yesterday. Today, I'm talking to the team. We're launching 4 different campaigns across 3 different clients. And it's just like, it's going to work. It works. It's good. It's, it's like, it's exciting. It's fun.
But all of those things are still there too. What you're liking now is the camaraderie and the good people, and you're loving how hard they're willing to work on things. The other stuff didn't go away. You still don't want to be forced on other people's timelines, and you still don't want to be subjective to their personal opinions that you, especially if you disagree with it. You don't want to have to deal with that stuff. That didn't go away. So that's why the answer is both. You need to build the better company. You need the Navy SEALs that you're going to work with, and then you need Louis to go build the Navy. Like the advice is pretty similar almost every time. Maybe we get some extra levels of clarity, but you're kind of jumping to answers that the inputs are great. The inputs are spot on. The output is just wrong. The conclusion is wrong. There's no clarity in the conclusion. The conclusion is terrible, but the input is clarity, but also not surprising. Like, you haven't said anything new here that is super surprising. You want to work with a select group of people who respect you, who let you do your thing, who are talented, hardworking. That's who you want to be around. Great. Clients and team. Perfect. Nothing new. Go do it.
Okay. Well, I don't know how much of that episode you heard, but you probably heard most of it. I guess we'll catch you next time. If you want to hear what it's like to work with Evan and get feedback from him directly, check out this episode from last week right there. And remember to believe. We'll see you there.
All right.
I forgot halfway through how the words you actually
continue to believe.
Continue to believe.
See you there. I will see you there.